the first session of this cycle for DevOps. It's a new cycle. This is almost eighth or seventh or eighth cycle. I don't remember specifically for DevOps particularly. Okay, so that's good. I'm just going to share my screen. Please do let me know if you are being able to see the screen.
Yeah, it's visible, sir.
Okay, great. Thank you. So it's a very, very popular sort of a first screen that we generally get adapted to. So this is a very famous and very popular symbol, like an inverted 8. Okay, horizontal 8, having all the phases of a DevOps lifecycle or a SDLC software development lifecycle in phases. So these are intertwined. So I will make the screen maximize. Okay, but before that, let me tell you what is our roadmap. So in this 8 weeks, or I can better say 8 weekends, what we are going to do is we will start with introduction to DevOps. That is why we are learning DevOps. So what is the need of learning DevOps when AI and everything has come up, and where do we stand? Okay, just to get a feel of DevOps. Why should we be learning DevOps as our basic need? Thereafter, in the next weekend, we are going to introduce you to cloud, and specifically AWS. Our methodology is a bit of, most of it, 75% of that will be theory, and 25% will be followed up with some hands-on, or rather, to make you aware of what we have discussed is the things that we will go through the screens of the tool, or maybe we are doing some small examples of some tools which is not graphical. Like, let's say the third week we are going to start with Terraform. So Terraform, usually that there is a graphical interface for Terraform, but generally we do not work with the graphical interface. We work with the character user interface, and there is basically no interface. So I can show a little bit of a hands-on small example of how Terraform can work. Okay, so that will be, Terraform is a provisioning tool of DevOps. So that will be on the third week, followed by Ansible. So you can say they are twin sisters. Whichever company is using Terraform is definitely going to use Ansible most of the time. So Terraform being provisioning the infrastructure, and on the infrastructure, once you have implemented the infrastructure through Terraform, what happens is the next stage is your configuration. You have to configure the environment, and the best tool for doing it is Ansible. That we are going to learn on the fourth week. I'm saying week-wise, but it may happen that I may end up taking 2 sessions on cloud. Okay, and with some reference to the AI implementation of cloud as well, because since everywhere there is AI, I'm also planning to give you a bit of an idea of some of the tools that are good to do with AI, because you cannot avoid using AI over on any of the DevOps tools nowadays. And specifically, this cloud computing has to be a mandatory part of your knowledge. Okay, there is no escaping. And we have selected the most popular one, which is the AWS. And the AWS has flooded its repository with lots of AI-driven tools to help us doing lots of complicated tasks very easily. Similarly, Terraform we will do, and it may end up like I have only allocated 1 week or one session of 2 hours with Terraform, but it may happen that I can end up taking 2 sessions. It depends. There is no hard and fast rule that I have to complete the entire cycle in only 8 weeks or 8 weekends. I usually cannot finish. It generally takes me 10 or 11 sessions. Okay, but that's fine because we are having an internship. Says everything is in our hands, and if you cooperate, if you support, we can extend it. Similarly, is the question of Ansible. Ansible, yeah, Ansible. I will try to make it up in one weekend. So on the 4th week, we can expect to start Ansible, which is a configuration management tool. Whatever infrastructure that you have implemented by now using Terraform will now Terraform and cloud. See, the 3 things I will tell you, which are very, very essential for our knowledge, because it is an introduction to DevOps. For learning DevOps and to start working with DevOps, there is a must. We must know few things. I will come to that. On the second half, that is after the 4 sessions, if we divide the 8 sessions into 2 halves, the first half is your introduction to DevOps, cloud, Terraform, Ansible. Okay, so you have created your infrastructure on the cloud using some DevOps tools called Terraform and configured that infrastructure using Ansible. So this comprises of the first half. Second half, it is very, very interesting. What is there? In the second half, on the week 5, if it generally follows 1 week for each of these topics, then on the week 5, we will start Docker. Now, today's world in IT, anywhere, whether you are using AI or using data science or using cybersecurity, anywhere you go, you cannot escape the knowledge. You have to have a quite good knowledge on Docker. Okay, a containerization tool. Then we start with that. We will take a decision whether we will do the 2 sessions on Kubernetes, or we will do 2 sessions or 1 session, maybe 2 sessions on Azure DevOps, that is the CI/CD pipelines. We can end up at that point, we will take a call because Kubernetes a bit. Why Docker? We have learned Docker and we will implement Docker on a larger platform, on orchestration platform. So that's why we learn Kubernetes. So Docker is not complete if we cannot implement Docker over some orchestration tool called Kubernetes. Okay, I have generally devoted 2 sessions for Kubernetes, which is week 6 and week 7, and finally maybe another 2 sessions on Azure DevOps, the most famous CI/CD pipeline tool that we must know. There are there were other tools like Jenkins, okay, and also a very popular tool is GitLab. But generally, we have now standardized over Azure DevOps, our thing, because many places, many companies are requiring that a student or a particular person who is going to be employed has to have some requisite knowledge on a pipeline, and that pipeline should come from Azure. Azure is a Microsoft product. Azure, I'm not talking about Azure portal or Azure cloud. Like AWS cloud, you have Azure cloud, very, very popular as well, like the Google cloud as well, GCP. But this is a pipeline based on the Azure portal, on top of the Azure portal. We will come to that. So any questions up to this part of the roadmap that we are going to follow? Anyone having some questions? Your question can be anything. It can range to any domain. I will try to answer. So if not, if you do not have, you have more or see, the DevOps is almost like completing 7 or 8 years now. Okay, so the initial novelty is no longer there. So people are very much aware of why we should be learning DevOps. And also, DevOps is finding a bit of challenge with the AI. So with AI getting introduced in the industry very fast, so what is happening is most of the automation, see, DevOps is mostly for automation. And if your automation is better done with AI, okay, so what will happen is, um, it should be an ideal mix of both the best of the both worlds, like DevOps as well as AI. That will make your automation the most robust one. Only DevOps is not a preferred solution nowadays. DevOps along with AI, if you can mix it up, so therefore it will be the most important and most sought after technology. And that is where the world is leading to, the industry is leading us. But for that, like, you cannot go to graduation or you cannot go to your university if you have not uh, passed your school level exam. You have passed your 10th standard. Unless and until you have completed that part, you cannot simply jump over onto uh, you know into university. You cannot get admission to university. So that is my basic intention is to motivate you to understand and learn DevOps properly. Is that fine? Any questions? Wherever there will be some references to, yeah, tell me.
So can we get the certificate after the completion of the internship?
Your voice is a bit low. Can you be a bit
Can,
louder?
I'll text on the chat. Is it okay for you?
Still, I'm not being able to hear you. Let me check if you have written any
Sir,
message.
I'll text you on the chat. Can you read the chat?
So, Sriju, right? Sriju, will it be
Yes,
possible for you to?
sir, I texted you on the chat. Can you look at the chat?
Still, I'm not being able to follow you. Maybe
Wait a
my,
second, sir.
I'm not sure whether it is the case with everyone else, but I'm not being particularly able to hear you.
Hello?
I think he said that he has texted you on the chat.
So is that the question from you or is it from Jay? Is the private key shared when the SSH connection is established? Why would you like to share the private key? Private key is a very, very important part of connection, and you should not be sharing it at all with anyone. Yes, the connection has to be established through the key. Without the private or the public key, you will not be able to connect to your EC2 instance or on the cloud. But we will discuss that when we come to the cloud discussion. Is that fine? So you see, certification. Oh, you are talking about the certification, right, Siju?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. We will arrange the certificate. But basically, it is a process that you have to follow. We will discuss that certification process afterwards. But this is just the starting of the DevOps journey. So let us not
Yeah,
discuss
sure.
about, because there are minimum 8 sessions still left. And it will be, I am very sure it is not going to be less than 11 or 12 sessions. So we will talk when we are around 8 session, we will talk about certification. Will that be okay? I mean, certificate from this particular internship. You mean that, right? Fine. So let me start with our session topic, which is the introduction to DevOps today. As you know, we will try to cover as much as we can with this introduction. So this is what I will do. I will make it bigger. Are you being able to see the screen, everyone? Anyone, please, can I cannot see the background number of people raising hands or anyone writing any messages. I will not be able to see that. So you can you can just let me know whether just unmute yourself and see. So this is, there are two halves. If I can say that this is on the right hand side, this is on the left hand side of this particular cycle. So when we start a project, any software project, we first of all start with a planning. This is the first stage. Okay. Then planning, and then we have to go to this part, which is called design and building. This is the you are implementing the code, okay, or development. Basically, the coding part starts over here. After you have designed, there is a lot of planning. Is not only planning, there are lots of other things. Coding is not only the code part, but we have made it a particular phase, say code, plan, code, in short words, build, test, release. But there are lots of things within that code, within that plan, within the build. But in general, it is plan. You start with this step. After that, the engineers will design, have the DSDs and workflow diagrams and everything. So UML diagrams for the developers. Okay. Design documents, UMLs for the developer. The developer sits over here. So a requirement will be broken down. A business requirement will be broken down into what? How? A business requirement is broken down into what? So who is giving you the business requirement? The client, isn't it? You are developing a project for the client. So the business requirement has to be broken into what? Has to be converted into, there will be solution architects, designers. They will work on what? On the business requirement and convert it to what? You must be knowing that. Anyone? Technical specification. So it is the requirement specification, business requirement specifications will be broken down into technical requirement or specification. Do you agree? Does it make sense? Because unless and until business requirements is just like the pain points. What are the problems? What is the business that is they are intended to do? Where they find problems? What should be? They will jot down all the requirements. So it will be broken down into technical requirements by the solution architect, the designers, and maybe with the help of the project manager, the program manager, business analysts. Business analysts play a lot of important part over here. BAs, and then you have the solution architects. Okay. Database designers. So many people will be involved into converting the business requirement into technical requirement or specifications. So after that, what will happen? Tell me. Still, it is not in this form, it cannot be given to the developer. Developer will not be able to decipher anything out of this document. This has to be again converted to what? Certain design documents. Design documents and UML diagrams. There are lots of other diagrams as well. One of the most popular is the UML diagrams. Okay. Sensitivity diagrams is also there. So many other diagrams are there, but a unified model logic or a language is the diagram that is most popular with the developers. Developers knows the function points that they need to develop. I'm talking purely from a software development lifecycle point of view. Okay, function points. That is, they get the raw idea of what the function is intended to be at that point of time. So that these are called function points. There can be hundreds of function points. That is features. The features that need to be developed. These are functions or features. The features of the product features. It can be anything like login features. It can be security features, authentication features, whatever the security features. Then there can be, say, product catalog features. So many things. So there can be a big list. So whatever it is, all will be specified in the UML diagram or sensitivity diagrams. That comes to the developer. Developer will be converting this into what? Through some help of some languages. It can be anything, you can name it. They will codify the entire thing such that these functions or features can be developed. Okay. The third stage is to build it, because now the compilers, the interpreters, everything has to be there. And basically, it is packaged. You can say it is packaged. It is a software package, not a release package. The release package comes over here. Okay, this is a software package. So it is packaged over here. There are various tools. And one of the important tools, let's say if you have developed a code over Java, then it will be packaged into or built into using Maven or Gradle. So many things. So many other package builders are. Okay. After this has been built into some target areas or target packages, these packages will be delivered to, see, we are following some cycle, isn't it? Cycle. So it will come to the testing team. So here there can be some unit testing, UTs. Unit testing is the peer-to-peer reviews and peer-to-peer testings as well between the developers. But here there will be SITs, performance testings, security testings. This is integration testing, soft system integration testing, performance testing or load testing. Okay. Or maybe security testing. So many levels of testings will be there. Finally, they are testing on that particular package which has been built and delivered to test team for testing. There can be tools. Every every phase will have tools, automation tools. Okay, we will discuss that. And finally, it will go and it will be finally done a release packaging. The entire thing is a pipeline. You know, we are moving through a pipeline. This is also a property. This is one of the tools of DevOps. Very, very important. So you are doing this automation over the pipeline. That pipeline is going from round and round and round and round. So the pipeline has been taken into the release phase, where the pipeline will be will help to package for a release, because that is something that we will learn. So once it is released, comes the deploy. So now you have stepped into operations domain. Development part is over. Okay, it is over after you have done the testing. And if it is 100%, okay, let me change the color. So it has come to this operations part. Once you have released from the development domain into the operations domain with a release package, and then it will be deployed. Deployed, it's a very important term in DevOps or automation or in whatever thing in software. It is deploy. You are going to deploy it where? You are going to deploy it somewhere. That is here. Some tool, very important tool, will come into picture. Docker, Kubernetes, okay. Kubernetes will generally come in the operate phase, but yeah, Docker. You are packaging you are making an image out of the entire release. You are putting that into a container, or basically an image of the application, to ease the deployment. And then it will be deployed onto some, it can be deployed over to pre-production servers or UATs. What is UAT? Can anybody tell me? Like you have the SIT, you have the unit testing, UT. What about UAT?
User acceptance testing.
Yes, fantastic. Thank you. User is, who is the user? Who is the user of your the entire software, the project? The user is no other than the person who is your client, who has given you the business requirement. So the client is now going to test. Here the client is not testing. Here the vendor is testing. Vendor means who is developing the software. The vendor is testing. Integration testing. Integration testing is not similar to unit testing. It is a bigger framework. But here the client will sit on your pre-production servers and test the entire product that you have delivered. See, in one screen, I'm covering lots of other screens of the PPT. It is convenient. So the client will sit on your product and will have an acceptance. They will either accept or reject. Testing. Client, which is user acceptance testings. Smallest. Okay. So there are tools through which the user will be, see, this testing and this testing is totally different, because they are the business users we use. and they look into a product from a different angle than what the testing team has looked at. Testing team is looking at the functions that were developed by the development team, like the features, whether the exact features which was aligned or traced into the traceability matrix of the business requirement, whether they are aligned, whether they are properly developed as function points or functions, features. But the business users will look at the product from different angles. So this will be put into monitoring for some, after the UAT, it will go into some monitoring servers. Some monitoring tool will be there. What are the tools we will discuss? And there can be several outcome of this particular thing. That is, there can be, they have given lots of points to be considered. They are not happy of few of the features that have been developed. So it must go back to your planning and the development team. So you see the circle has come back. The feedback and monitoring, it will go. This is also a phase, very important phase. And there are tools. It will go back to this planning team or the project team, and the developers will work on those report. There will be a report generated from out of this testing. They will consider that report and work according to that report. What were the flaws or defects or recommendations by the the business users. That way, again, the code will be developed. The design can be a bit changed based on the feedback. This is the feedback and monitoring. Feedback and monitoring. So based on the feedback, the design, there can be a design flaw. It can be anything. And this will go back here. This will again be built, again be tested, again be released, again be deployed, again be operated for all these things, user acceptance testing. Okay, and this cycle will go on and on till you achieve 100% acceptance. From whom? From the client or the business users, BUs. Any questions up to this point? Can we move on? So I have already, yes, thank you. So I have already told you about, through that diagram, I have already told you that this is nothing but the software development life cycle, SDLC, and you must be very familiar with that. Which is also that we have just now discussed about things like planning. You define it. There is a solution architect, business analysts, BAs, and designers. There can be database designers and maybe there can be software designers as well as the database designers. They will be working on these definitions. They will define the architecture. Okay. Finally, the design team will produce those documents called DSDs, sensitivity diagrams, or UMLs. Okay. And it will come to the building or the development team. The building is including the coding plus what? Code plus build. So there is a software package. Software package. Just now we have discussed all these things. So I'm not going to again go to the details, but then again the testing will happen. That is the SITs. The package and the build will be unit tested, UTs, and then it will be deployed and using the UATs. And again, it will come back to planning if there is any, say, 80% achieved. So for the rest 20%, it will again come back to this cycle. And it will go on and on till it is achieved 100%. Okay? No doubts, right? So to achieve this part, what happens is to achieve this part, there are two models. The project managers. The most sought after person, most sought after guy in a project, which is the project manager, and most hated person. Most hated person. You can attribute almost 70 to 80% of project failure, on this guy, or maybe a group of guys. If there's a big, huge project, there can be several project managers. Because a huge project may cover several domains, cross-domain functionalities will be developed. So there can be cybersecurity, there can be DevOps, there can be cybersecurity manager, there can be DevOps manager, project manager, there can be a program manager. Okay, so there will be a development manager. The particular one who is developing on the software part. So all this combined there can be several project managers, but generally will be having one project manager. Now this guy is very important. At the same time, he is a hated person. All the project failure will be attributed to this guy, and all the success, 100% of the success will go to the credit of this guy. So both sides of the coin, success will go to this guy, nobody else. Okay, so this guy is a very, he's a very serious guy. He has to be. He cannot laugh. He will always be after you to get his job done, because otherwise he is held responsible for the failure most of the time, but also he will be rewarded for the success. So he will go for the success, and in doing so, he will be chasing you every now and then. And so therefore, he is the most hated person. He will try to micromanage to get his work done. But that is not the case, because that was the case when the project used to follow waterfall model, step by step, steps, waterfall, as if the water is coming down this waterfall. So if I cannot have one or several project managers only working on a project, because there are other guys, so many other guys working the project, why the failure and the credit goes to the project managers only? This model is definitely having some issues. And yes, it has. Therefore, the latest model with the advent of DevOps is the agile model. You can say this is the hen, or this is the egg. Okay, you cannot distinguish whether the egg is first or hen is first, whether Agile came first or DevOps came first. Both came together. They complement each other. Without DevOps, there is no Agile. Without Agile, there is no DevOps. So this is the accepted model now. Why? Why? Because of the simple reason that you do not need a project manager in an Agile model. That makes the team, the Agile team, the owner of the project. I'm talking in a very simple term. This is the gist. I'm not going to the details of Agile. I have served IBM for almost 11 years. And out of this 11 years, last 5 years, I was in the role of project manager. I hate this job. I hated this job, but this is towards the end of my career or my tenure with IBM. The last few years, I enjoyed this role because I didn't have to perform anything because at that time, the Agile model already came up. I was just maintaining all the projects that were developed, all the projects that were developed using waterfall model. So my role or my involvement with the further DevOps or Agile projects was minimal. I was very happy because I can have good sleep. I can have good sleep. I can otherwise this role, when I was actually managing this waterfall model projects, there were sleepless nights. Horrible. As I told you, why? Everything was like this. Very, very skewed type of responsibility. Either you are successful or you are a failure. There is no middle path. It is not a sort of a teamwork. It was heavily project management skewed. Okay. So towards the last few, I mean, maybe 1 or 1.5 months, half years, I enjoyed my PM role because the Agile model was already introduced, or DevOps was introduced in IBM. I'm talking about end of 2019 and beginning of 2020, when IBM acquired, the revolutionary acquisition of what? Can anybody tell me? IBM acquired which software giant to step into DevOps? Can anybody tell me? Just a wild guess.
IBM Cloud.
IBM Cloud already had an IBM Cloud developed, but that was also they were not being able to compete with AWS, Azure, or GCP. They were in the market very much. AWS being the most popular. What helped IBM to step into DevOps in a big way and Agile?
HashiCorp.
You are almost there. Not HashiCorp. HashiCorp is Terraform. There was more than important of Terraform. There was something else in the market, which IBM acquired. After which IBM jumped into DevOps and they were considered DevOps giant. IBM acquired in 2019, IBM acquired Red Hat. You know Red Hat?
Yes.
Red Hat. Red Hat is a Linux. with lots of other products complementing Linux operating system. Now, that is what I was just a few moments back, I was saying that something should be there. If you want to go into DevOps, you must be aware of few things, or rather you have to champion those tools. And one of them is Linux. Without Linux, you cannot step into DevOps or cybersecurity or you name it. You cannot do anything. You have to be a champion of Linux. At least you have to have good knowledge between 60% to 80%. Good knowledge on Linux. Okay. And one more thing. To be very good in today's technology, to cope up with the latest trends in the market, this one is first and foremost. And the other thing is, what is the other thing that you cannot say, I will not learn it. Like yesteryears, say 10 years back, you could have said, I will not learn Java, I will learn only Python. There was an option. There was an option. You still had an option. As a software developer, you can always go for this. Either this, or maybe .NET. You will learn only .NET and or maybe PHP. Okay. But to step into this domain, DevOps, DevSecOps, cybersecurity, you cannot say, I will not learn cloud. Cloud and Linux, because Linux will be ported on cloud. You will be working on Linux over cloud. So these two technology together will make you a very good person or very sought after person in this domain. So IBM has very cleverly got this company, acquired this company, Red Hat. Red Hat was actually covering almost 70% of the Linux in the market. The market share was almost 70%. And with one such stroke of intelligent stroke of IBM taking Red Hat, they straight away came into a competition with AWS, Azure, GCP. I mean, they could step into DevOps domain. Okay. Any questions? I will not go into details of Agile and Waterfall because that the Waterfall is, of course, is an old technology, which is old methodology, not technology, methodology. It is a project management tool, but I will not discuss in details. So the coming slides will be on Waterfall model and Agile model. I will skip that. But any questions over here?
No, sir.
No questions. Very good. I'm very happy. So let's move on to our next slide. As I told you, waterfall model, requirements, design, development. Can you see these are steps? Each of these are called gates. These are called gates. Gates. So you are going from one gate to the other gate through some exit criteria. Exit criteria. So once you fulfill 100% of that exit criteria are designed all. That is, when can you go from requirements to design? What are the exit criteria and an approval process? So somebody will approve that, okay, now this is over. Now this gate is closed. You can move on to the second gate or the following gate, design gate. Who will approve? From now, you already have the knowledge. We have discussed. Who will approve? Each of these stages will need to be approved by whom?
The project manager.
Yes, one of them is project manager, but the project manager or the business owner of the client. Everything will be on client's permission or approval. If you think that your project manager from the vendor side, yes, there will be two project managers, one project manager from the client side and one project manager from the vendor side. If you say the PM of the vendor side has given an approval, that is not right. The PM or the business owner of the client side has to approve through some documentations. All these things are there. You have to prove that your requirements gathering stage is over. It is done. So you fulfill the exit criteria 100%. So now it will go to the design. Again, from design to development, you have to fulfill 100% of this exit criteria. So can you see that the gates are closing behind? The gates are closing. So as you move from here to here, the gate is closed. Gate is closed. This, when you move into the development, the design is closed. When you move into testing, after the entire development is over, that is the flaw. This is closed. Testing to deployment, testing is done. Everywhere the approval, this process is the same. Deployment, done. You move into the maintenance. So your project is handed over. Project completion. Okay. So the disadvantage is you cannot go back. You can go back, but let's say during the UAT, because the UAT will happen here after the deployment, after the testing is over. This is SIT. The business owners are very, very intelligent. They are very, they are the dreaded persons because they are sponsoring the project. They are giving money. So any defect, anything that comes into their mind or into their testing, they will immediately call it a defect. So if they have raised several defects, say out of 100 features, 30 feature is defective or not up to their liking. 30 features. Can you understand that 30 features not up to the liking? So you have to go back. You have to go back. You have to again scale up the ladder. Maybe there is a design flaw, but generally generally doesn't come back that way. If that is a design flaw, then that means your project is almost like gone, because there is a golden triangle. Golden triangle of project management. What is that? Can anybody tell me what are the 3 dimensions of this triangle? Anybody? First of all is the cost. Second dimension is the time. And the third one is the quality. So a project is successful if project is successful and project is failure. If a project is successful if all the 3 parameters are fulfilled. That is, it is within the budget. Within the budget, it is within the time schedule or the time limit or the time that was agreed, and an agreed quality level. So you cannot give a product which is bad, but you have delivered within the budget and within the time. So any one of them, this is the quality. A lot of investment goes into quality. You have to pass the CMM. There are lots of quality grades and standards. And one of the tools that ensures quality is SonarQube. You might have heard the name. For a software development, SonarQube is like a Bible. Okay. So in your pipeline, there would be some tool called SonarQube to test whether you are maintaining a certain level of quality. That is, there is a threshold, acceptance level of a quality. If you are, say, outside that quality level by say 10%, your product will be discarded. So you have to ensure the quality, you have to be within the budget, you have to be within the time frame. If all the three parameters are fulfilled, your project is successful. If any one of them or any two of them or all the three of them fails, is a failure. Are you getting me? Now you see, there is a time, there is a cost. If you are going back, then what is that? You are consuming the time, and you are also, because you have to employ the same amount of effort in getting the 30 features corrected, right? Do you agree? Do you agree with me? Does it make sense? It doesn't make sense because you are freezing the requirement. This is also one very important criteria. Nowadays, if your project is 1 year project, and you have frozen the requirement in the very first month, that is what happens in a waterfall model. You have to freeze the requirement. Your requirement does not change within 1 year. And 1 year in today's software development, when there is AI and there's so much of competition, some other vendor or some other company is going to produce the same features with the same sort of amount of our better features within 1 month. Somebody has developed the same product within 1 month, whereas you are planning for 1 year. You have taken the freezing. You have got the all the requirements frozen for 1 year. Is it good or bad? I will ask you. Is it good or is it bad? That concept of freezing the requirement and that requirement cannot change within 1 year is a bad proposition. Is bad. It is not good. So comes, because you see, you are going back, you are consuming the time, the effort, the cost, and of course, again, the qualities, again, the UAT will happen. And in the meantime, you have lost your valuable time. If your defects were something like, if it was like in a circle, and each of these points, each of these stages, the milestones were validated, and you can have a leverage of going back to rectify. Something happened over here, immediately you get to know that yes, it has happened here. You can go immediately, let's say you are here, and you can go back and rectify, again come back here. So this is an iteration method. This is not, because it's very rigid. You are closing the gates, but what happened? You are forced to come back and open the gate. That is bad. That is bad design. But that was I didn't have any, as a project manager, I did not have any other tool but to fall back on waterfall model. This is the only way. This is the only approach. So the DevOps, with the advent of DevOps, that's why DevOps is so important, that it has given a new paradigm. It's a paradigm shift to the entire approach of software development lifecycle. You see, now with the agile model, this is the priority request. Because why priority request? The request or the feature which is of maximum business value will be taken up first. So let's say there are 50 features to be developed, out of which management and the business owner has decided that these are the 5 features I need immediately, which has the most business value, the maximum business value. So I'm not interested with some features which are, yeah, that is good, but that is not a must have at this stage. More slow. Okay. So I do not, yeah. Sorry, tell me. Hello.
Yeah. I thought you coughed.
Okay. So you see, the business owner now, the business owner means the client is now involved with each and every stage. Every day there will be a stand-up call, a stand-up call of 15 minutes with the agile team. Is the project manager there in this agile team? What do you think? Will there be any project manager in the agile team?
I think what can really happen is you can have a Scrum Master so that they just
Yes,
simply
Scrum Masters are not they are not the project managers, they are Scrum Masters. Yes, that is fine. They are part of the DevOps team or the agile team, but there is no project manager. There is almost nil, no documentation, because you spend almost 70% of your time in documentation in a waterfall model. This 70% time is a waste. I mean, not waste. See, when you are developing 50 features in one go, then documentation is very important. But when you are developing 5 features for the time being, and your is 1 month, that is within 4 weeks, so there will be a sprint of there is a sprint release of 4 weeks. You can plan it. So you see, you have the design, you start the coding, but all things will come parallelly. Because the day you start the design, you give that part of the design. So out of 5 features, you have designed for one feature, the feature function point is designed, and you immediately give it to the coding. So you do not need to give all the 50 features or the 5 features all at same time. Once one feature design is over, you give that UML diagram to the coding. The coding starts with one feature. So that feature will go for testing and the release. And that means here you are doing a UAT. So every shot you are taking baby steps. You are not taking a quantum leap for 50 features in one go. No, because if you are developing 50 features, you have to wait for the design to complete for the 50 features, then coding to complete for the 50 features, and then you give it all the 50 features to the testing. So all this time, let's say 3 months, the testing team will be doing not a single activity. But here, what happens? Within a day or two, the testing team has also started debugging and testing on that particular one feature. So it is quite nice because you are taking a short sprint. You are taking a short sprint, not a marathon run. So you decide that this one feature should not take more than 3 days. So that is your estimate of time and effort. Okay. So that way it is short sprints, and every day the stand-up call will help the BO to understand with the agile team without the project manager to discuss what has happened. 3 points will be discussed. Not more than 3, because in 15 minutes you cannot discuss too much. It is one, which is what happened yesterday. What were the issues included? And did you assign those issues? What are you doing to resolve the issues? What are the steps that you have taken to resolve those issues that you have encountered yesterday? And what are the things that you are going to do today? This is the 3 moot points that are discussed in a stand-up call in an agile meeting along with the BO. So BO is well aware because BO creates a bucket. BO creates a bucket of, say, let's say, first 5 features. And the rest 50 will be in the backlog bucket. This is the current bucket or the sprint bucket. So you take up a sprint of 1 week. So you do a sprint of 1 week for delivering the 5 features. That is the milestone. And then you pick up the rest out of 45. Then again you take up maybe another 10. So those 10 features will be again assigned a sprint of 1 week. That way it goes on. See, when you have delivered the 5 features, because the business owner has unit tested all the 5 features, it is happy. The next bucket will be designed out of the remaining 45, the 10 most valuable business value features will be picked up. That way, so you have delivered 5, now you are working on 10, then you will pick up maybe another 10. That way it will go on. Is that clear? Any doubt? And that is why this is much more scientific, much more, because it fails earlier. The failure happens not later. The failure happens earlier. Early you fail early. You fail early. That is the motivation of agile. Because you know where you are failing and you can do a quick recovery, correction measure. You can take a correction measure immediately. Okay. Any question? So you see, agile model has a lot of advantages. We will not, so introduction to DevOps. So because you have understood why you have to go into the agile model with the advent of DevOps. DevOps has DevOps principles and very important. So there was always a tussle between the operations team, and because they were working in silos, they did not have anyone or any person or any tool to bridge the gap. They were working in silos. They have no connection. The bridge is broken. There is no bridge. So there was always a firefighting between these two domains, not domains, I will say departments, development team and the operations team. And you know, operations team has 2 teams, or basically 2 teams. The quality assurance team is under operations. and quality assurance team has the testing team. So if anybody asks you which department this testing team falls under, you will say it is under operations. It is not under development. Because the testing team is under the governance of quality assurance. And quality assurance is under the governance of operations. Operations is the backbone of any projectized organization. What is a projectized organization? A projectized organization is an organization which works on projects for software delivery. So there, the operations team is the backbone, not the development team. They are the backbone of this particular organization. So they have a lot of clout. They have a lot of muscle power, lot of power. They yield a lot of power. So everyone is a bit conscious and afraid of, not afraid, I mean, they have to deal with this operations guy. These operations guy are very high-handed. They would not listen to you, any of your excuses. Developers are very much prone to giving excuses. They think they are great guys. They may be a great guy, but for them, developers, for operations team, the developers are crooks who is always trying to break the system. And they are the guys who will always try to maintain a smile because they want to make the customer happy. The customer is the client. The client does not know the developers or the development team. Okay, just 1 minute. The client only understands, or client interacts with the operations team. Any defects, any issues, they will raise a service request, SRs, with the operations team. And if a service request of level 1 is raised, that means there is an alarm. They don't want to get into this because there is only 2 hours. There is a, there's a lot of SLA and SLOs. If you breach the SLA, service level agreements with the client, there is a penalty that is going to go into the vendor. So vendor is your company where you are working as a developer or in the operations team as a DevOps guy. So you are in the vendor, you are not in the client. The client will levy heavy penalties because you have broken the penalties, financial penalties on the vendor. And therefore they are the, these people try to minimize the damage that can happen because of new things coming from the developers, and that can mess around with the system. They maintain the production box. They maintain the production box. All the infrastructure, network, pre-production, testing, development, the development servers on which the developers work is also maintained by operations team, is under the operations governance. So every infrastructure is, these guys are responsible. So they are a very, very important person in an organization. So I cannot mess around with them. But usually this happens. There is a lot of firefighting goes on because there is always a gap between the developers and operations. They don't work as a team. Okay. So the developers will run his code on his system and then tune his system in such a way that always it will appear to them that everything is working fine. But it is not the same with the operations, because you have to put that code or the application into the operations maintained pre-production servers. And there the environment is totally different. There starts the problem. The operations team says that the code is faulty because it is not running over here. But the developers will say it is not my fault. It is the human nature. You will never admit your fault because you are a very intelligent guy. There's no doubt about it. You have tuned your environment in such a way that your faulty program runs very fine. But that will not happen when you are putting your code or your application into a server that is maintained by the operations team, because there is a lot of different projects which are running or different programs that are running. It is not only his project or his program that is running. So therefore, the environment has to be tuned in such a way that it will work with the others. There lies the problem. Now, this led to a lot of back and forth between the developer and operations team. Hence, it impacted efficiency. You understand that. Because if you are fighting a lot, that means you are consuming, as I told you, the golden rule of a project, the time, the cost, and the quality. Because you are not achieving the quality over into the production box or the pre-production box, they are giving back your code back to you. You are hampering this quality. So at the same time, because it is going back to you, you have to redo the work. It is consuming the cost as well as the time. So this back and forth is not good for the health of the project. Health of the project is impacted because there is a lot of wear and tear. Not good. Now, the problem was solved when you are using DevOps. So your organization has a lot of problems earlier, before the advent, like in IBM, before DevOps was introduced in 2019, there was a lot of problem. But once introduction of DevOps was introduced, yes, I was a Scrum Master as well after to handle those agile projects. I was not a project manager. I used to take a certificate for Scrum Master, and therefore I was selected by the clients to handle those agile projects. That's fine. That's besides the point. The point is, when the DevOps tools came into the picture, they started working as a team. Now there is no hoodwinking. A developer cannot hoodwink the operations team, because now you are going through some tools. Those tools I'm going to discuss. You are going through the tools, and the tools never say tools. The DevOps tools from DevOps now has streamlined the reports that are given. They cannot deny. They cannot be in a denial mode when the reports are coming or the observations are coming from those tools to them. So the poor tester, who was otherwise getting a lot of flack when they are returning the code, they were like sort of ragged. This poor guy, they didn't have much of an experience of any software. They had an experience of, let's say, 2 years in testing. Now they had a very tough time handling the developers, because they cannot make them understand that your code is having defects, because it is not working as per my traceability matrix that we have designed for the requirements, because your function does not work according to this requirement. Okay, but this they will not accept. They are in a denial mode. So there is a back and forth. So the project manager will be involved, the development manager will be involved. There will be lots of meetings between the development manager, operations manager, test manager, project manager. Okay. And finally, they are forced to do it. There is no way. But in the meantime, you have lost a lot of time. But what happens when there are tools to say that there is a defect? Can a developer deny that? No, no denial. Because it's a proven tools. These are proven tools that will say if there is something wrong, it is a wrong. You have to accept it and go and make the corrections. You have to do the corrections. So what happened is now the problem is solved. Now they have started. There was a gap. Now the dev and the ops is working together. So developers, testers, IT operations, they are all working as a team. I'm not going to these definitions. All these things are there. When you go into our site, you go to our courses, and you will get a lot of descriptions and PPTs and everything. So this is coming from Amazon. Okay. So DevOps is a philosophy. It is not a technology. Yeah, it's a technology, but it is not per se any formula. There is no formula, success formula or something. It is a philosophy, it is a practice, and a combination of tools that increases an organization's ability to deliver applications and services at high velocity, high speed, evolving and improving products at a faster pace than organizations using traditional software development and infrastructure management processes. This speed enables organizations to better serve their customers and compete more effectively in the market. So there's a fantastic definition. And automation is the buzzword. If your company wants to do automation, you have no other way but to go to DevOps. DevOps and automation is synonymous. Yes, if you can introduce AI along with your DevOps tools, it makes automation almost picture perfect. Perfect. But for that, you need to understand DevOps. You cannot only know AI and just jump into DevOps. No, you will not be effective. You will not be hired. You will be fired. Sorry to use that term. It's a very dreaded term. I should be only harping on this term, hired. You will be hired. Surely. Both. You know a bit of, you do not need to know Python. You do not need to be hands-on. You need to know how DevOps tools are AI based. For that, you need to know cloud implementation of those tools along with AI. So AWS has introduced so many features and products which helps to implement AI without your knowledge of Python or your hands-on knowledge too much. Okay, you are not going to develop code for AI. You are not an AI developer, but you know the tools in the cloud like AWS tools, which helps you to implement AI over the cloud to make DevOps AI compatible. It's a very interesting and challenging technology which is coming, which is going to feed you for many years coming now. So get prepared from now onwards to at least have the basic knowledge of DevOps. Without this, however good you are in AI will not help. So quickly start the clock. Understanding the primary phases. Yes, we have already discussed that: development, testing, integration, deployment, monitoring. It is customer-centric, end-to-end responsibility, continuous improvement, automate everything, work as one team and monitor and test everything. That is what we have already discussed. These are the 6 basic principles of why industry has adopted DevOps. And there are so many other important reasons why you should be learning DevOps is predictability, reproducibility, maintainability, time to market, and cost effectiveness. Traditional IT is falling behind DevOps because DevOps is more productive. Team is divided into specialized silos. You do not need to be a master of everything and master of none. Okay, you just concentrate on your particular skill. That is fine. You will contribute in your DevOps cycle. Smaller and fragmented releases lead to easy scheduling. We have already discussed this. Smaller and frequent release, not in one go. No big bang approach. Agile is agnostic to a big bang approach. It is against this approach. It is saying that you divide into small modules, small features, deliver it fast, release fast. So frequent releases with continuous feedback makes achieving targets easy. So the next day, what I will do, I think we are running out of time, and I will give you a buffer of, because the next session is going to be cybersecurity. Our very, very lovable mentor, Mr. Karthik, is on his way. So I will urge that you take a breather of say 5-10 minutes so that I can wind up. So what I will do the next day, I will start, before I start with the cloud, I will just give you an introduction to the tools that comes into the various phases. And that's all. Then we can start on the cloud. Is that fine with all of you?
Yeah, I think it's fine. So
It's fine.
Okay, great. Thank you. So I can go back and say that we can wind up the session today, where we have learned a bit, but yes, this is just the beginning. We will have a lot of discussions, very important discussions, very interesting discussions onwards. Okay, so take a bit of a breather before we can go into cybersecurity. Is that fine?